Okay, hello again. This is Larry, and we're going to do contact report 45. Okay, this was translated by the DeepL translator. Corrections and improvements made by Catherine Mossman and Joseph Darmanin, and the contact person was Semjase. Okay, this was the 45th contact, Wednesday, 25th February 1976 at 0304 in the morning. So 3 o'clock in the morning. Semjase, unfortunately, I must rob you of your night's rest. It is my duty to address a request to you, ... Billy, which I will gladly fulfill if I can. Semjase, you are very kind because you will save me a lot of trouble. Can you get me ... Billy, certainly, but I suppose I might have to go to Zurich for that. Is there a rush? Semjase, we should have things in our possession by this weekend at the latest. Is this money enough here? Billy, that is D-Mark. Where did you get these organized again? That should do it. Semjase, Quetzal gave me these bills. Billy, oh, so he is the money collector. Semjase, sure, he is in charge of these matters. Billy, well, all right, I do not really care about that. Now tell me how all your names of you that I know are actually written. I would like to write them correctly. Semjase, sure, I understand. It is to my knowledge with you that you are very concerned about a description of justice. Billy, you are right, but the meaning is not wretch. It's German. I can't read it. But wretch, that's also German, which has something to do with correctness. But your reading has something to do with rights, in parentheses, law. Semjase, thank you for the instruction. Here and there, I unfortunately still have some troubles with the different terms. Billy, just you? Girl, how much do you think? I do not know about these things yet, and I have been trying to speak German for about 40 years. You know, German is a difficult language. Semjase, that is funny. I will keep those humorous words. Billy, I am glad you learned something decent today, but can you write all the names down for me now? Semjase, I want to spell them out for you. What are they? Billy, first yours, of course, then Pataz, Asket is Askets, Quetzals, Niras, Svaths, and Askets. Semjase, well, be quite observant. Semjase, then Ptaah, Asket, Quetzal, Nera, Sfath. And ask it you have mentioned twice. Billy, that is a mistake. Excuse my flounder. So, according to your interpretation, I only misspelled the name of Ptah with one A instead of two. Semjase, this probably lies in earthly practice, because to my knowledge, it is also always misspelled in many literary works, because this name is still very well known to the earth humans from early times. But in fact, it is written with a double A. Billy, that means with us with two A's. Semjase, you are incorrigible. Billy, I know, but now I can tell you, I did not really want to know all this for myself because somebody asked me about it. Semjase, sure, I suspected that, but the question was very logical. Billy, well then, maybe you do not mind if I give you a tape here, which you and your folks should please examine. Here, this envelope contains it. Do you have the possibility to play it? Semjase, sure, we are familiar with these things, but please understand that I have to wait with this because I do not have the appropriate devices available here. Billy, there is no hurry. Semjase, then I will bring it back to you in the next contact. What is this about then? Billy, that is not for me to say. You will see then. I would also like to have a judgment on this which is not influenced by my findings, etc. Semjase, I will gladly comply with your wish and will therefore listen to it later. Billy, I find that correct and courteous. Now please tell me if it is possible for you to bring any items here. You know, I am thinking a kitchen appliance or a tool. Semjase, that is a very illogical question, and it certainly is not yours. Billy, I know it's illogical, and it really is not mine, but I wanted to speak to you again. Semjase, you know very well that I am not allowed to bring any such things with me. Billy, I am aware of that. You told me that before. But as I said, I wanted to try again. But how about if you could bring me some piece of metal? Not just an ore piece, but a piece that you have worked on. Billy, or Semjase, your question is remarkably illogical. Maybe you are thinking that I could give you a piece of my beam ship. Billy, not a bad idea, girl. Let us just hack a piece off. Do you have a saw handy or any other suitable instrument? Semjase, question marks. You are ... Billy, what is it? Semjase, I am speechless. You have really spoken seriously. Billy, what do you think? My insolence sometimes knows no bounds. On the other hand, I think that you only have to talk to people. Then you can also communicate with them. Semjase, your words are very wise, but I do not know what you mean by them. You really cannot be serious about what you said earlier. Billy, no, I am really serious. Where can I unscrew a piece from your ship? Semjase, you are kidding quite badly. Why do you want a piece of this metal so badly? Billy, quite simply, we would like to know what kind of metal you use for your beam ships. Semjase, I can explain that to you. Through a transformation process, we gain it from lead. We extract this soft metal from many things, e.g. from lead-containing atmospheres of stars and planets, from waters from various plants, etc., as well as from various ore rocks of destroyed stars and planets, comets, etc., exposed to decay. Through a process that is very complicated on the Earth, we convert the captured lead substances into the soft metal lead, which we then convert into a hard metal form through further chemical mechanical processes, which is much harder than your metal, which you call steel. This, however, is unsuitable in its form for beam ships, which is why it is converted by further conversion processes into an alloy with certain values and properties suitable for beam ships, about which, however, I am not allowed to give any further details. The end product, which must have very special properties, then consists of an alloy. Billy, I understood that so far, but what metals does this alloy consist of? Do we have similar metals on the Earth? Semjase, sure, you have the exact same metals that exist all over the universe, on the stars and planets and so on. This, however, does not mean that all metal ores which are present in the universe are to be found on the Earth. Billy, that is to be assumed, but you have not fully answered my question. I wanted to know what metals the alloy was made of. Semjase, let me explain that to you. It is a copper, nickel, silver alloy that also contains gold for certain beam ships. Billy, aha, so an alloy that we could also produce on the Earth. Semjase, sure, it should be known to you as well. Billy, that is possible, but I do not know because I am not familiar with these things. But what is it like if we could also use this alloy for spaceships? Semjase, certainly. Billy, and you just say that so easily? Do you not think that our researchers and other scientists could evaluate this? Semjase, this possibility does not yet exist because they would first have to be capable of space travel and of our metallurgical engineering. They cannot build their still very primitive rocket capsules with this alloy, and they will not be able to use them for space travel for a long time to come. But my statement can be an inspiration for the Earth scientists for the very distant future. In other words, we can't make this metal here. Billy, I think it is great that you can say that, and therefore you should not be forbidden to get me such a piece of metal or alloy metal, should you? Semjase, sure, I can grant your request. I will do my best to bring a piece here for you. Actually, when there was it's Larry note here. There was an investigation by Wendell Stevens. She actually gave Billy a handful of pieces of metal and had said, here, have them analyzed. And he did. And we'll get into that, I'm sure. Billy, you would give me a tremendous pleasure. Earlier, you mentioned all sorts of manner by which you could obtain lead. I noticed that you did not mention earthly ore mining with a single word. Is this kind of ore mining not common among you? Semjase, ore mining or other mineral mining on a planet or on a star is only carried out by us in extreme emergency, because this process is tantamount to the destruction of the star or the planet. A planet or star must never be exploited in the way it is exploited on the Earth. What the Earth human does with it is tantamount to the destruction of the planet. The first evil effects of this destruction have already been felt on Earth for decades, while the present time is already initiating the contractions of destruction itself. So by mining ores and stuff here on the planet, we're actually destroying the planet. This is to be understood in such a manner that the terrestrial human being exploits their planet and robs it of its fundamental life force by robbing it of oil, natural gas, and various ores. This causes the Earth to undergo internal shifts, leading to violent volcanic eruptions and earthquakes as the Earth slowly collapses. However, the same process is also produced by the construction of dams and similar structures, which cause very dangerous earth shifts through the accumulated water masses. The human beings on the Earth commit the worst madness with their underground and above ground atomic bomb experiments, as well as with those horrible underground explosive experiments, which are declared to be atomic bomb tests, but which in reality are much more dangerous. Billy, these are things that I know, but which all politicians and scientists deny. But what do you mean by the fact that these madmen would test even more dangerous things, which they declare as atomic bombs? Semjase, this is another bomb that is made from natural primary products of nature, but whose effect in an uncontrolled explosion is many thousands of times stronger than that of the largest atomic bomb. Exploited in a suitable area, it triggers an enormous chain reaction when uncontrolled, which causes the Earth to fall victim to a total firestorm and atomizes it within only 7 to 8 minutes. She's talking about igniting the atmosphere, it sounds like. A rescue attempt would be futile because if the chain reaction is triggered, it can no longer be brought to a standstill. Even we would not be able to do anything about it. So if we torch our atmosphere, we're out of luck. Billy, so this would be the absolute end of the Earth. The Sparmidden, as Ptah explained to me. So the so-called overkill, as we call it. Semjase, certainly. Billy, you have a rather sober statement, but tell me, what is this crazy bomb and what mites are testing it under the guise of atomic bomb explosions? Semjase, unfortunately, I am not allowed to make any official statements about this. Billy, all right, I can pepper, salt, and season the roast myself, but it would be a real pity if dear Mother Earth would soon be blown up in the air. I like the planet very much and somehow have grown fond of this world. He doesn't want the Earth to end up like Malana. and possibly Mars as well. They both met major destruction. Semjase, you speak in my sense. Your home world is actually very beautiful, but it will not be for a long time if the human beings of Earth do not change their attitude very soon and give up their mad behavior. The Earth is still able to regenerate if the exploitations are completely stopped within a short time. For the regeneration, however, the planet needs a very long period of time, which can be calculated in millions of years. So it's not coming back in our lifetime. Billy, I can vividly imagine that. If I consider how old the Earth is, then I can also calculate the approximate regeneration time. Semjase, sure, but how old do you think the Earth's age is? That would interest me. Billy, are you trying to lead me up the garden path? Semjase, I am really interested in your estimate. Billy, then I will try. But please do not laugh if I am too wide off the mark, okay? Semjase, you have my word. Billy, good then. Our scientific experts are the clever ones who walk our Earth with their wisdom. They indicate the age of the Earth with at most approximately 5 billion years. Since my great journey with you and Ptah, however, I have somewhat changed my opinion. You have let me see the most different stars and planets, heard the most different stages of development, and that one has to calculate their basic age differently, namely from the formation of primordial matter, which the earthly scientists do not do, however. If I now look at them all together and compare them with the Earth, then I surpass our scientists in their assumption of time by far. Just recently, I thought about it and added it all up, and then I came across the number 640. So according to my calculation, the Earth would have to be about 640 billion years old, calculated from the first formation of primordial matter, from which the Solar System and finally the Earth developed, which exists as a fixed planet for about 6.4 billion years, and since then has been classified as the actual course of evolution in every respect. So he's saying 640 billion, and the scientists are saying 5 billion. In parentheses, the age of Earth is calculated from the origin of the first primeval matter production, from which the Earth then developed over 646 billion years ago, whereby the existence of the solid planetary body is given as a seething, glowing, and viscous mass with about 46 billion years. The shape of the fortress of the planet, however, when the first mountains began to form in their origin, is said to have formed about 6 billion years ago, while the first flora-based life originated about 4.8 billion years ago. Billy, in parentheses. Semjase, you want to make a joke? Billy, why would I? Semjase, you are not saying that this number is your calculated result? Billy, of course it is. Why would it not be? Semjase, have you ever talked about these things with my father without me knowing? Or maybe with Nira or Askit? Or maybe with Svath? Billy, definitely not. Semjase, and Quetzal? Billy, why should I? Here too, I can say no with a clear conscience. But what is this all about? Go ahead, cut to the chase. Semjase, are you really not kidding me? Billy, if that is the case, you can send me to the moon. Semjase, that is actually amazing. If I had not heard your words myself, I would presume to claim that any of us gave you that number. Billy, can you not take any longer? Semjase, according to our most accurate calculations, it is ... It is just unbelievable. How did you come up with that number? Billy, certainly not through Sunday school. Semjase, it is inexplicable to me how you achieved this result. This is really an inexplicable phenomenon for me. Billy, now do not go overboard. What is the matter with you? I was just trying my brain a little harder on this one. Did I miss so much that you have to mobilize a whole theater? Semjase, did you say missed? On the contrary, it seems so incredible to me because you were only wrong about the number 6. Which number 6? He had 2 number 6s. Billy, now I do not understand anything anymore. If I was wrong about the 6, then I am even more stupid than our scientists, and my whole theory of the different stars and planets seen in the universe collapses like a house of cards. Semjase, but why? You have made a very good calculation. Billy, do not make it so exciting. A moment ago you said that I was only wrong about the number 6, and now you again claim that my calculation is good. Semjase, I understand you now. So you assume that you would have to put away the 6 with your number, after which you would come to a result of 40 billion years. This, however, would be very badly calculated, actually. No, you should add an extra 6. Our very precise calculations have shown that the Earth has a basic age of 646 billion years since the first formation of primeval matter. So you have only miscalculated in a 6. 646 billion years. The statement that the Earth is a solid planet at the age of about 4.8 billion years is correct, although this planetary solidification was preceded by many millions of years of actual development. So it's been a solid planet for 4.8 billion years. Billy, fabulous. And that is why you have to make such a fuss? Semjase, you have no tools at all, and yet you have calculated the primeval Earth age to an accuracy of 6 billion years, which your scientists have not even come close to achieving with all kinds of tools. I would call that phenomenal. Billy, cut the nonsense. You yourself have given me the opportunity to look around on planets of different ages. No wonder I guessed the age of the Earth. But let us leave it at that, and tell me if you have any calculations about how long our Earth reserves can still be exploited. Semjase, that is quite different. But on average, the Earth's resources currently known to humankind will be exploited in 27.5 years. 27.5 years. So this contact report is 50 years old. So we've already exploited Earth's resources. This concerns metals, etc. The petroleum should be enough with the present known conditions only for approximately 20 years after the current terrestrial irrational development. In the meantime, however, many more ore, natural gas, and petroleum deposits have unfortunately been found, so that the criminal exploitation of the planet will continue. Billy, petroleum is a life form like ores, is it not? If I am properly informed, it is bacteria? Semjase, certainly. The Earth, which, by the way, is completely wrongly calculated and estimated by the earthly scientists by weight, possesses an earth oil deposit of estimated 844 billion tons, of which 65 billion tons have already been exploited or destroyed by the stupidity of the Earth humans. The destruction was caused by underground nuclear bomb explosions. The quantity of oil destroyed is about 20 billion tons, almost half of what humankind has stolen from the Earth, which can currently be calculated with a quantity of about 45 billion tons. Again, remember, this is 50 years ago. A planet like Earth produces petroleum in the course of 1 billion years in a quantity of approximately 381.5 billion tons. So that's 385 billion, 500 million tons. And that's in the course of approximately a billion years. Oh, wait a minute. That's a million years. Let me try that again. A planet like Earth produces petroleum in the course of 1 billion years in a quantity of approximately 381.5 billion tons. So if the planet is enriched with petroleum for an estimated 3 billion years, then it produces about 844 billion tons of petroleum inside it. In less than a century, the Earth human has already exploited a quantity of this quantum, the production of which took the Earth billions of years. If the planet wants to regenerate this quantum again after the robbing of all ores, gases, and oil, etc., that has taken place so far, it will need many millions of years again after today's loss of the Earth's resources. And according to today's planetary conditions, almost twice or 3 times the normal production time. The result for this is that the irrationality of its inhabitants means the Earth today lacks many elements that it needs for production, because humankind has stolen them from it. In less than half a century, the Earth's surface alone, of all the continents that formed about 4.4 billion years ago, has lost so much fertile land that nature would need several million years to make it fertile again on its own. In only 25 years, the Earth human have already destroyed so much fertile or semi-fertile land that the natural norm is exceeded by 144.2%. In other words, in only 25 years, the Earth humans have added 144.2% new infertile desert and barren land to the natural desert areas and other infertile areas by destroying forests and fertile land. We're tearing down the rainforests and all the other forests. Only 35 years ago, the Earth's surface was covered with 86.1% of fertile land. But today, these percentages are only 39.7. Billy, what can you do about it? The politicians and scientists in charge really do not care a damn thing about it. They only say and think that they could live well themselves through their madness, and that they would not experience the sad end themselves anymore. Semjase, unfortunately you are speaking the full truth. Many of your politicians and scientists are absolutely irresponsible creatures who must be deprived of their power in order to be replaced by rational and responsible forces. Unfortunately, this can only be achieved through logical nonviolence, which should be exercised by the people themselves. Earth humanity would also have to deal with various other points which can be encompassed in 5 values. First, for several years, an absolute birth stop would have to be carried out in order to reduce the mass of terrestrial humankind to less than 1 billion. At a different time she mentioned 500 million, but she's saying 1 billion now. Secondly, an immediate cessation of all excessive Earth exploration is of vital importance, which is why any unreasonable exploitation must be avoided. Thirdly, the nuclear tests and the even greater madness with the chain reaction bomb must be stopped with immediate effect. Fourthly, oversized reservoirs must be destroyed. Fifthly, all nuclear power plants built must be destroyed and new ones must be prevented. Billy, girl, these things that many people have thought about for themselves, but the bigwigs in the upper and top ranks do not give a damn. Semjase, I am aware of that too. The only remaining path for the human beings of the earth is through actions in logic and rationality. For far too long, humanity has been fooled by those responsible, so it can no longer achieve anything in appropriate peaceful forms. The might on the earth is embodied by politics, religions, and scientists, And exactly this power must be broken. Otherwise, the Earth human suffers a very bad end, not only by war and extermination, but also by the atomization, poisoning, or other destruction of the planet. With regard to the new bomb of madness, however, we have banned great cosmic consequences so that other star systems of your galaxy would no longer be affected. Oh, one more time. With regard to the new bomb of madness, however, we have banned great cosmic consequences so that other star systems of your galaxy would no longer be affected. In other words, they're not going to let us do it. Earth, however, would be destroyed in a firestorm. But humankind on Earth still has some time to reflect and to snatch the grip of power from the powerful ones, as you call them, and to live according to the natural rules of life. But humankind will not be able to avoid the fact that it already has to bear the consequences of its madness, because the Earth itself is already damaged inside and outside in such a manner that it rears itself up inside. Massive earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, climatic changes, storms, water inundations, and misfortunes will be the future of the worldview. Whole countries will sink into the water, and countless people will find an evil end. Billy, I know, I have the exact dates from the Patali level prophecies. I also know that maybe a hell of a war will roar over the earth. Semjase, sure, these coming events are already inevitable. However, with regard to the war you mentioned, the final facts have not yet been established. Billy, I know, but now something different. Last time I dealt again with the revelation of John and calculated the data another time, which I already did together with Ascot in 1956. I always come across the same values when I calculate the number 666. It is said that the number 666 is that of a human. What do you think about that? Semjase, you know the situation very well, so why do you ask? Billy, I just wanted to know your point of view for once. Semjase, sure, I can tell you. My knowledge, however, is not mine in this respect, for it is our common property. The number 666 probably applies to an Earth human being, but at the same time also to an extraterrestrial and the work of both. It should be noted, however, that the earthly human being, against his will, has reached the numerical value 666, namely the anti-logos, lies and untruth. This by a name of lies given to him against his will, given by fanatics, liars, and deceivers, by religions, charlatans, and might hungry ones. So, the value of the number 666 does not apply to the actual person and the thinking and doing of this man on the earth who has long since passed away, but to the delusional figure which was made of him and which dominates the earth as a religious cult figure. This is the absolute evil and the unreal, the destroying and the destructive, namely the lie and the untruth, the anti-logos. Billy, this is very well set out, but you could call it by its name. Semjase, the name has been known in Kabbalistic circles for a long time, including that of the extraterrestrial and his work. But for 2,000 years, the Kabbalists have been trying to falsify the numerical value of the letters because they do not want to acknowledge the truth. The numerical value 666 applies to the German language values of God, Church, Christ, and Jesus. Jesus is the false name for Emmanuel, who already in his lifetime refused this name because he knew the future and knew what would be made of him. Jesus is the value of anti-logos, which, however, the Christian church falsified into the Antichrist, which is why the true teachings of Emmanuel were falsified beyond recognition. However, these things have been known to Kabbalists for around 2,000 years, which is why they are constantly trying to falsify the figures, as I have already explained. Billy, well, then the beast with the number 666, can you explain that to me? Semjase, sure, but only for you alone, because Earth humanity must not yet experience the interpretation. What is generally already known to you refers to the fact that the name of the beast has been learned. This name, WUV, however, is only an abbreviation of a certain versatile diminutive value. The beast is therefore to be regarded only symbolically, because in truth it concerns the most diverse worldwide organizations with a 2- and 3-part designation, etc. These organizations are embodied, among other things, by politics, the church and its followers, who are individually called Christians. Like God and Jesus, the appellations Christian and church are also identified by the number 666, which together represent the symbolic beast WUV. For you, it is said that the word WUV also means world environment industrialization, world environment pollution, world environment Verwaltung, in parentheses, rape, world environment contamination, world environment combustion/burning, world environment destruction, world environment degradation, which you must not let become audible under any circumstances. But in parentheses, it was allowed from 1982 on. Okay, Billy, I am going crazy. All this already exists partially, but the names do not exactly apply to everything yet. Semjase, of course, some of these organizations have already become effective, but their names will still change, after which other names will emerge from the word WUV. Billy, all sorts of things, but really, Ascot gave me the really correct numbers already in 1956, after which I could calculate everything together with her. About 2 or 3 years ago, I surprisingly found a book by a certain Chiro, Cheiro, in which the same numbers were given. Semjase, Chiro? But he lived more than 1,000 years ago in Egypt. Billy, that is what Ascot told me. Semjase, how did you get a book from him? To my knowledge, its existence has not been handed down up to the present time. Billy, it is not a book by this Chiro himself, but by a count or something like that, who also called himself Chiro. He lived about 100 or 200 to 300 years ago or so. Semjase, that is very interesting. Then this man probably knew about the real Chiro and called himself so. Billy, that is probably possible, but it is not that important. Of importance is only the fact that he partly found or received the correct numerical values and passed them on for posterity. But something else. I have a new typewriter, an electric one. With the help of Fräulein Rufer, I was able to buy it. It is much easier for me to work with, but I am not as fast with it as with my old machine, where I had to press every letter hard. Is it not possible that you can give me the reports a little slower so that I can write them with the new machine? It would be a great help to me. Semjase, unfortunately, I cannot help you in this respect because no delaying devices can be built into the switching devices nor into the transmission senders. However, if you practice hard, you will soon be able to type faster with your new machine. I am very pleased that you have much relief with this new device. Billy, thank you. It is a shame that it is not possible, but now another question. It simply occupies me that Mr. Hans Jacob, um, now I've been saying Hans Jacob, but I've also heard from some of your comments it could be Jakob. The J could be like a Y. Anyway, I'll continue to say Jacob until whatever. I'm sorry. In Wetzikan has turned. I think it simply occupies me that Mr. Hans Jacob in Wetzikan has turned. I think it is a shame. Do you not want me to talk to him? Semjase, no, he has to deal with various things himself. He himself must find the truth and free himself from all false, mystical nonsense. In this respect, however, he has to travel a very difficult path, because he is still very trapped in religious, cultist, and false mystical things, which is why in the past few months he has again become increasingly involved in these nonsensical matters, not least because he was strongly encouraged to do so from outside. But he has got to deal with it on his own now. Where it was possible for me, I gave him some help. But he is so very incorrect and stubborn that I would have to put him under a permanent influence, which is not possible for me. He must now reflect on himself and find the path of truth. So she's given him a couple of nudges in his head, but she can't make those permanent. He's got to sort it out for himself. Billy, if you think so. Semjase, that is Quetzal's decision. And another comment, he's basically the leader of all their people here on Earth. Quetzal's the man. This is Quetzal's decision. But now it is time. I have to get back to the station. Billy, yes, I understand. I am sure you have some tough hours ahead of you again. But one more thing. When can you bring me the pieces of metal? Semjase, I was only talking about one. Billy, good. Well, then only one. Semjase, why do you want more than one? Billy, because there are others who are interested. Semjase, I understand. Maybe I can get you several pieces. Billy, thank you, Semjase. Now goodbye, and also greet the others. Maybe I can get to know them someday. Semjase, maybe. Goodbye, dear friend. And I'm going to kind of spoiler alert here. She did end up bringing him a whole handful of metal samples. So, and they got sent off to laboratories and they were examined, and we'll get to that. Okay, that does it for Contact Report 45. And the next Contact Report 46, we'll get to that here in a little bit. I hope you're having a good day, and thanks for listening. Bye.